Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. This is Maher Sonbol from Clean Path Recovery. I'm clinical therapist here, and I'm continuing with you our communication skills, the art of communication series that we started from a couple of weeks ago. Our topic today will speak about what are the barriers to effective communications. There are many barriers. There are many issues and things that we are doing consciously or unconsciously. It will affect our communication to be more effective and efficient with other people. One of them, if we remember the first topic that we used to talk about it from 2 weeks ago about the active listening. If we have poor listening skills, this is considered to be one of the top barriers to effective communications. Because if we can't properly giving the right time to listen to others and listen with full focus, with undivided attention, understanding what they are saying, making sure that we got all what they need to say, this kind of poor listening skills will lead to that I will not communicate effectively. I will, or someone just thinking that I need to talk properly and or to talk a lot more than listening. All of that will lead to non-effective listening. Another thing that it could be a great barrier to the communication, the second topic, if we're using our non-verbal communication with the wrong way, if we have an aggressive posture or we're giving a negative gestures, all that of kind of stuff, it will lead to the person in front of me will perceive us negatively, and accordingly will have a very negative and disaffective communication pattern between us and the other partners. So by lacking of the two topics that we spoke about them earlier from 2 weeks, this is one of the barriers, or a couple of them are the barriers to our communication. There's other things. So what are the things in addition to if we're not listening properly or we are using our verbal communication with non-effectively? One of the other thing is the language barriers. So if I will use a language that it's not understandable correctly from the person that we are speaking with, will be a problem, because at the end of the day, one part of the communication that we can understand each other. So if I'm using a kind of language, it's not must to be a different language, but sometimes I can use jargons, I can use acronyms, or I can use even very scientific language for with the person that he or she is not like in the same field with me. So what if like a physician speaking with a very scientific language about things related to the body, and that's acronyms or special business-like words. So the other person will just look to them as if they are speaking totally different language, and it is for them. So we need to make sure that when we're speaking with the other person, to make sure that he or she understand our language correctly. Another part to be a barrier to our effective communication is our emotional barriers. So if we're speaking with people with an anger feeling, with frustration feeling, with a sad way, will not pass the message correctly. So our feelings will impact our communication. It will give the real barrier to make the other person in front of me got the real message that I want to deliver it for him or for her. It's very important to make sure that while we're angry, especially when we have hyper kind of feelings, we need to make sure that the people in front of us getting the message. That's why in anger, whenever people they are yelling a lot, we are telling them, you know what, yelling will never let your message went through to the person in front of you. All what are you saying is exactly as it was said, nothing. So by yelling, while people thinking that yelling will pass the message seriously, that we are very serious, that we are very effective in what we're saying, and you need to apply that, literally and barely people can understand what you really want from us. All what they see, the anger feeling that you are presented to them. So yes, our emotional expressions can be very, very deviating our understanding from the correct message that we need to understand. One of the barriers as well is the timing. Yes, sometimes using the wrong time, it could be a great barrier for a person to understand or to even give me the full attention to understand my message. If I'm getting to someone like speaking over the phone and I'll try to interrupt and to talk with him about any message, that's not okay. This is not the right time, and as well as not respecting the person, or the person on the other hand, or on the other side of the phone. So that wasn't the right time. As well, when someone like focusing in doing a project or a task and I'm interfering and interrupting and deciding at that moment I need to talk now, if I can't, we need to respect that, because the person, if he really can, will do it. If he can't, will be the very wrong time for him. So sometimes timing, it could be a major thing that it will stop actually from the beginning the communication. It's not only will be a barrier or interrupt the communication, it will be from the beginning. No, will not communicate good, and this can lead to loss of frustration between the people talking together. So it's very important to make sure that you are choosing the right time. As well, the right environment. If you'd like to communicate with someone about a topic that you need to discuss it and go through it and discuss different option, and it's a major decision, it will not be appropriate like you talk with that person while you're like in a stadium, for example. It's like it's not the right time, it's not the right place, it's not the right environment, a lot of noise around you, and he or she will be barely listening to you. Or even in any environment that lots of noise around you, and you hardly can talk and the other person hardly can listen to you, and you need to run a discussion, that will not be the right time. As well, the environment around you is not the right place. So we need to make sure that the time and the environment is really appropriate. Both of them are appropriate to our message that we need to deliver it in our communication. Another part, the perception. We need to understand while we're talking that people can perceive us negatively. So we need to make sure about our message when we are communicating with others that our message had been perceived correctly. Because sometimes people just can think and will say, I will not be responsible about others' way of thinking. Literally, that's correct, but at the end of the day, what you need, or if you really need your message to be delivered, you need to make sure that the person in front of you understand and perceive your message correctly. So it's not the case that you don't bother yourself a lot about how people will perceive what you're talking about. It's the matter of, do you really value your message or value the thing that you like to talk about it, or simply it doesn't care about your message and you're not valuing it. So if you value your message, if you see that your message is important for the others to understand it, you need to make sure that others perceive it correctly. And that's maybe required to reframe the words, to restate again, and to make sure that people understand it correctly and fully get the whole message, not parts of it. The perception of others is very, very, very important. And from our end, we don't need to expect that people will get it because we just say it. No, we need to make sure that the person in front of me got the message. The last barrier is when we are filtering the talks, or the conversation. I'm listening to what I need to hear, and that's it. Or I will talk about the things that I'm coming today to talk about it, and that's it. When we start to filter what we're listening or what we're talking, this is coming a one-way communication. You're not giving a chance for the person in front of you to talk to you or to listen to you. because conversation, it's between, minimum between two people. So if I'm already coming prepared that, I will say my message and I'll say it with that way, I will not allow someone to tell me or to interrupt me or to deviate my way of messages. I will not be able to communicate my message correctly. Literally from the beginning, that's not correct, because now it's not a conversation, this is kind of lecturing. So if you're going to lecture someone, you need to tell them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a way of talking. But conversation based on, I need to talk and I need to hear and I need to make sure the person in front of me got the message, and I need to get the feedback from the person get this message about his opinion, or how you see it, how we perceive it. This is very important. So filtering in itself, it could be very negative and it will lead to a misleading message or conversation. So that's why there are these barriers, and we need to take care about them, because when we need to have real good conversation and to communicate properly with others, we need to make sure again to listen effectively and actively, to make sure that our nonverbal communication is really on the right track and we use it with the right way. We need to make sure that we're using proper language, that the people can understand it and hear it with the proper tone of voice. And we need to make sure that we're choosing the right time, the right place, and we make sure that people, they are the people that we are talking with, they have the proper perception about what we're talking about and perceiving it. And finally, we need to make sure that we're not selecting and filtering what kind of words we need to talk about, and that's it. We need to have an open discussion and be ready to receive feedbacks and talk about it and keep the conversation rolling on. That's the main things about how to make sure that we're not putting any barriers to our effective communication. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to connect with you next week with a different topic.